Hello, guys. Good morning. I wanted to update you on something about gang stalking. So, during gang stalking, one of the things that I found more severe were how sometimes you would wake up by the gang stalking voices. There were times where you didn't even get rest from gang stalking during sleep. And by that I mean that you would be in bed and then pass out listening to the gang stalking voices, and then you would sleep and you would have a dream about gang stalking and then you would wake up to some type of auditory hallucination. Then when you would open your eyes, there would be a roommate, who was a gang stalker. There were days where there was literally no rest from gang stalking. Today, I woke up with some random dream. I don't remember what the dream is, but there are dreams during gang stalking that I remember were very, 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 very real. I mean, let me rephrase that. There were some dreams about gang stalking where it was so vivid that it became stamped in my mind like a normal memory. I hope that makes sense. Like, dreams typically are kind of blurry, kind of foggy, and you only remember segments of it. But gang stalking dreams are typically so vivid that they are burned inside your memories, almost as if it was an actual memory of something. When you get gang stalked, the worst part comes in always feeling harassed by gang stalkers. Look, when I was homeless and I was working at O'Reilly Auto Parts, I wouldn't get any rest from gang stalking. Look, I would work at the O'Reilly Auto Parts in Imperial Beach, and then my coworkers would harass me for the entire 8 hours. I would be sensitized to loud bangs, and then I would hear freaking voices. They would create an incredibly hostile environment, including Very Nice Rivero, including Maximas, and including all my coworkers. Look, I know that sounds unbelievable, and I know that a lot of people are not gonna believe me, but these videos are me explaining my gang stalking experience, and the unbelievability of it is exactly what is used against targets. The truth is that gang stalking is a conglomeration of, I guess, psychopaths who simply want to destroy a person for whatever reason. And it is something so unbelievable that people are immediately labeled as crazy. And one of the primary reasons that, aside from the gang stalking content, I am putting out the content about fitness, and I make sure that the rest of my videos are about topics that only a cognitively functional person would talk about, is to increase the weight in my testimony. So during my lunch periods, some of my coworkers would hide in a corner of my car. I mean, let me rephrase that. During my lunch period, I would try to get a break from gang stalking by eating lunch inside of my car. And there would be times where a coworker, I'm telling you a coworker because I saw a coworker doing this, would hide on a corner of my car and crouch and then sway the car ever so slightly for about half hour, sometimes hours, or sometimes the entire hour. And your mind is in such a sensitive state where it reproduces a lot of the sensations. So there would be times where I would be sitting in my car on my day off, for example, and my body would start producing the swaying sensations that were created by my coworker the day before. So your mind becomes hypersensitive to things you were harassed with, and your mind would interpret those cues as actual gang stalking harassment. So if you were harassed with loud engines, with door slams, with headlights, with hand signals, with colors, with words, especially during my situation where I lived in my car, I would be parked anywhere and I would inevitably hear a car door slam, and I would think gang stalking. I would hear a loud engine revving, gang stalking. I would hear a car alarm, gang stalking. You would literally feel that all of those sounds were produced by perpetrators. So the only time that you would get rest from the harassment or from the perceived harassment would be when you are asleep. You would feel that there are people around you harassing you 24/7, and there is something that you feel in your head that is gonna snap. I'm not sure how to explain it, but you feel that you are surrounded by people and your ability to handle yourself, your emotions, like you feel like you just want to be like for real, I'm not kidding. Because you are constantly harassed for hours and hours and hours, and when you are not being harassed, your mind is still perceiving harassment. So the only rest that you get is when you are asleep. But then there are times where you dream about gang stalking, so you are gang stalked even during your sleep, which is freaking awful. Additionally, when I was in a shelter, I was harassed by my two roommates. And look, one of them was already crazy, and the other one was just a CU-double-N-T. So the truth is that gang stalkers are just a-holes that feel free to harass you, to steal from you. So if you are getting gang stalked, you want to make sure that none of your belongings are available or are reachable by anyone, by no one, because they're gonna mess with your things, they're gonna steal your things. Never leave your belongings accessible when you are getting gang stalked, anyway, ever. And look, it is work to keep your things under lock and key, but it is necessary. If you are targeted, never leave those in your car available. Always have everything under lock. If you leave yourself open to get stolen from, please understand that if something gets stolen from you, you are not gonna know whether something was stolen out of a gang stalking or out of just someone being a thief. And that is gonna make you feel anger because it's gonna add to your confusion. You're not gonna know if it was some person who didn't know you or if it was an act of sabotage by a gang stalker. Gang stalking only thrives in confusion. So you want to minimize the potential for you being confused. Put everything under key. Anyone who behaves as a gang stalker, tell them to not speak to you. Anyone who is pointing their phone at you, tell them to stop pointing their phone at you because it makes you feel like they are recording you. Don't accuse them as gang stalkers. Look, there was a point at the gym where I accused someone of recording me, and after that they didn't do it again. I could have approached it in another way, where I could have approached the person and said, you are pointing your phone at me, can you stop doing that because it makes me feel like you are recording me. That's all it takes. I was at a gym, so if he kept doing that, I could have gone with management and told management, that guy keeps pointing his phone at me. It's making me feel like he's recording me. Can someone have a talk with him? The only reason that I felt so powerless during gang stalking was because I was confused. I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know what I couldn't do. And there was absolutely zero information out there about how to defend myself from gang stalking. I could have simply stopped working at a gym and then just use my TRX like I use it now and work out at a park. I could have told those whom I felt were harassing me to not speak to me, and they would have had no other option other than stopping to speak to me, because then that would be harassment that I could report to the company that I worked for. Gang stalking is not this infallible thing. There were so many things I could have done about gang stalking harassment that I was unable to see because of my lack of understanding about what I was fighting. That's why I make these videos, because I don't want any other targets to feel like they can't do anything about gang stalking, because that is one of the worst things you can feel as a human being. Be harassed by groups of people and have no idea what to do about it. It is such a crazy feeling of powerlessness and impotence that hits you right in the self-esteem. Gang stalking is not infallible. And again, anyone who makes you think of gang stalking, who harasses you directly, indirectly, whether or not you are sure it's harassment, you need to block them, because it is only that way that your mind is going to be able to recalibrate its own perceptions. Gang stalking can only take place if you allow people to harass you, to gang stalk you. Look, if I had to relive everything with what I know now, again, none of that would have even gotten that bad. None of it. So, look, I'm gonna tell you the strategy of gang stalking, or the anti-gang stalking strategy. First, one of the reasons that you could be stuck in vices is because you have people that are putting these ideas in your head. So what you do is that you have to stop talking to anyone that wants this for you, that wants you to stay stuck in vices. Even when I was going to, it's not always going to appear as if they want you to stay stuck in vices. These suggestions or ideas can come in the form of questions. They can be like, ooh, do you shoot up? Ooh, do you smoke this? Ooh, do you take this? Have you ever put this in your bum? They are gonna put ideas in your head of using substances in many ways. They can be like, oh, do you like to gamble? Oh, do you like this? But it always leads to a vice that can destroy you, always. So you have to stay away from anyone that engages in these vices, in any perversion. You have to stay away from all of those people, completely, absolutely, utterly. And even one of those people can put you back. Even one of those people can pull you right back into the gang stalking. Even one person. So you have to make sure that absolutely everyone that uses or that pushes these ideas in whatever form they put it in, you have to get rid of them. Anyone that is like, ooh, do you still smoke this? Block. Have you ever done it this way? Block. Always. That is the most insidious way that these people keep you in vices. They're gonna keep putting ideas. If they send you unsolicited spicy pictures, block. Unsolicited offers to engage in intimacy, block. All of those block. I know it's gonna suck. I lived it. The only reason that I'm out of it is because I have to do these things. So please understand, it is not always gonna be obvious. So to recalibrate, to give your mind the freedom to express its own spirit again, you have to get rid of the attacks, whether or not you believe they are attacks or not. Even if they come in form of questions, suggestions, ideas, block. You have to have a pure mind so that you can have the ability to think clearly without anyone imposing these ideas onto your mind. NA meetings, there was one person there who was telling me, oh, download Grindr. Oh, let's go take this. Like, there was someone in an NA meeting who was pushing me to go back to those habits. And I blocked them. That person kept giving me their phone number, even after I told them to not speak to me. If you are targeted, just understand that vices are part of gang stalking. Any vice. Anything that facilitates gang stalking harassment, you need to stop. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that is the hardest part to stop, dude. And yeah, it can feel unfair. I'm not gonna lie to you. It can feel unfair because, I mean, it's your body, you can do whatever you want, and it's unfair that you cannot even enjoy doing that because someone is harassing you, you know. But in the end, one of the primary reasons that you began that vice in the first place was probably because of gang stalking, you know. So look at how my face is beginning to like get to normal. Like, I still have the huge bags under my eyes, but look, even my teeth are getting whiter. That's freaking crazy. So ponder the question, how the vices can have contributed to gang stalking, and if they play a big role, you know, you're gonna have to stop. And look, you don't even have to look at it like if you have to start forever. You have to stop forever. Like, you can start it whenever you want, but you want to make sure to get yourself out of that precarious situation first. In the end, you can be doing so well that the desire to keep using that substance or substances can go away, and you might even not even want to do them again, because there's always going to be people with those substances, always, forever, dude. But if you really want to stop gang stalking, you have to stop all of that. I was having a conversation with someone who I had to block because he was talking about using pot, and I told him, well, if your gang stalking gets worse when you are using substances, you have to stop using substances. That's the most important step, because gang stalking is about destroying your mind. Any type of mind altering substance is gonna help destroy your mind. So you stop that. You stop engaging with any people who use any substances. You stop engaging with anyone who you have the suspicion is a gang stalker. Anyone who you have to interact with, whom you feel gang stalked by, you have to tell them to abstain from speaking to you in any way, shape, or form unless it's work related. Any person whom you have considered an acquaintance or a friend who you believe or have the slightest suspicion is a gang stalker, but you are unsure, simply silently block them or tell them that you're gonna need a break from interacting with them, that you're going through something. Don't tell them what. And if they insist too much, don't even answer it, because a lot of people, especially if it's written, like if it's on a text, gang stalkers want you to accuse them of gang stalking you so that they can screenshot that as evidence and show it to all the other harassers. Gang stalking destroys you by creating the impression. Well, gang stalking destroys you by indirectly telling you that everyone knows all of these things about you. And look, there's nothing you can do about that. That's gang stalking. That's why they stalk you, so they can find out everything about you. That's why they have to intersect with you at every possible moment. Your reputation is probably already ruined, and the only way to repair a reputation is by changing your behavior. So you have to behave in a way that demands respect. The crazy thing about disrespect is that the respect has to be earned, not respect. Well, at least where I come from, everyone is born with the right to be respected. Disrespect is what is earned. So the crazy thing about gang stalking is that people disrespect you in ways that are hard to detect, which is exactly why I allowed people to disrespect me, because I didn't know I was being disrespected. An intent swaying your car, slamming the car door really loud when they're by you, whispering offensive words. Gang stalkers are all disrespecting you without showing you directly that they are disrespecting you. So honestly, it's only after 8 years that I learned how to disrespect them back. But I had to learn everything about gang stalking, you know. Like, for example, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, the last time I was doing this with someone and the person began talking about an unpleasant topic, you know, when I was getting there, but the other person wanted to finish. Before they were about to finish, I just went, oh my god, I have to go. And that person didn't finish because that person didn't allow me to finish. So you have to pay them with the same coin. And I am simply making it incredibly unpleasant for anyone to harass me. Don't be scared of being rude to people who are being rude to you, because being nice is what got you gang stalked in the first place. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about the new type of content. I'm still gonna make gang stalking content, and you're gonna be able to see what the difference of the content is by the thumbnail and the logos. So the videos about gang stalking are gonna have the gang stalking playbook logo, and the videos about health and fitness are gonna have the FM Fitness Professional logo on the thumbnail. All right, you can also notice by the branding, the colors. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. And if this content is being helpful, informative, or if you feel like it has added any type of value to your life, let me rephrase that. Let me re-say that. If you guys feel that this type of content has added any value to your life, please consider subscribing to the channel, dropping a like, dropping a comment, or sharing on your social media. The purpose of this content is a journal and vault of gang stalking information, because when I was a target, there was absolutely no information about gang stalking, which in the end affected my approach to gang stalking, because I didn't know how to approach it. There was no information out there. Zero. There was nothing helpful. There was only information about narcissism and about flying monkeys, but no helpful information about gang stalking. All the information that was out there was about the directed energy weapons, but there was nothing about people being mean to you or people messing with your things, people gaslighting you left and right. There was none of that. There was none of the psychology, nothing. And I am just glad that I was given the opportunity to change the game of gang stalking forever, because now gang stalking is not going to be the same, because now targets know how to deal with it. At least targets who watch my content. Anyways, I appreciate you for investing your valuable time in watching my content. Please consider becoming a member to the channel, only $4.99 a month, or you could make a donation to my PayPal in the link to it in the description of the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.